I gotta tell you, I made a good living playing in the National Football League. I enjoyed my time there. It set me up on a path. As I always tell people, it lowered or rose my floor a little bit. You start to get a jumping off point and have a great career doing other things after you've had success in the National Football League. But I gotta tell you, I'm not feeling where the National Football League is right now. They have a personal conduct policy that came into execution around the Ray Rice situation. We all remember that from 12 years ago or so. But the current personal conduct policy states the following: all persons associated with the NFL, obviously that includes players, and that's primarily who it's addressed, are required to avoid, quote, conduct detrimental to the integrity of and public confidence in the National Football League. This requirement applies to players, coaches, other team employees, game officials, et cetera, et cetera. That's the gist of the personal conduct policy. It goes on to list a couple of other things that are pertinent and relevant to the NFL. The Deshaun Watson situation with the NFL has gotten out of hand. It's gotten to the point where Commissioner Goodell, despite sitting behind the idea that he has not been indicted, that two grand juries in Texas have returned non-indictments for the allegations that have been levied against him, despite the fact that he claims to the top of his mountaintop that he did nothing illegal. The NFL has to move to suspend Deshaun Watson, and they need to do it significantly. And I'm thinking like a year. Here's the thing. If something looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's likely a duck. And Deshaun Watson, with now 26, or soon to be, I should say, 26 sexual misconduct allegations against him, has to be suspended by the league. The league is hiding behind their arbitration process. We know what will happen, and the NFLPA has already started to lawyer up to get people behind and to support Deshaun Watson when the NFL ultimately hands down a suspension. We don't know what it's going to be, but we know that the NFL is going to do something, and what I'm saying is that it needs to be significant despite the lack of criminal law adjudication for anything that Deshaun Watson has done. Major League Baseball, as a point of comparison, we all remember this from last April with Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer had a consensual sexual relationship with a woman who accused him of being overly aggressive. I won't get into the sort of details, but it was over-aggressive. And ultimately, he was not criminally indicted. I don't even think there's a civil case still pending with Trevor Bauer. There may be, but I don't think that there is. We haven't heard it. But Major League Baseball effectively suspended him for 2 seasons. Why can't the NFL do the same? I understand that this is a delicate situation. The person is innocent until proven guilty, that the league is going through their own process right now. But this situation looks so bad. It falls right in line with what the personal conduct policy states. It's clear as day, and I'll read it again. Avoid conduct detrimental to the integrity of and public confidence in the National Football League. Nobody following this circumstance can honestly say that they believe Deshaun Watson did nothing. And because of his association with the league and because of his new contract, which is, if you haven't heard, it's $230 million, all guaranteed. And essentially, if it might be 229 with the $1 million that's his salary this year, not necessarily being guaranteed because he could get suspended. It makes the NFL look horrendous. It almost looks like they're finding a way to allow Deshaun Watson to be out on the field despite these gross allegations against him. I know it's early. I know there's still a lot to be parsed out. Even Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, who loves the National Football League and is a huge Cleveland Brown fan, says that she's got to wait and see before all the facts come out. But here's my stance on the league. In order to have your respect intact, especially after all the work that you put into this a personal conduct policy, suspend him now. If it gets overturned, take the L later, as we always talk about. Take the L later. But the NFL looks so horrendous sitting back and doing nothing. I understand that there's still a lot of facts that need to be worked out. I know it's kind of he said this and she said that, but when it starts to get to the point where the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson's former team, is being implicated in trying to cover this up, when it's gotten to the point where the lawyer for the accusers almost every week, every other week, are bringing out more and more accusations against Deshaun Watson, when we know for a fact that there were at least 66 different women that he asked to be a part of his massage sessions, and maybe some of them have not come forward. Maybe he's I don't want to speculate on any of this, but this looks exactly like the personal conduct issue that the league put into place to stop these type of things and to penalize players who bring ill repute on the National Football League. It is beyond me why the National Football League won't do anything, why Roger Goodell is sitting back and waiting for the next shoe to fall before he finally does something that changes our minds on Deshaun Watson. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. We'll talk a lot about the Yankees and the Mets a little bit later. Obviously, the NBA Finals is a big deal. Later on in the show, we're going to have Kenny Smith will join us. But I couldn't start the show any other way than looking at the Deshaun Watson situation. Now, I know that the NFLPA has started to lawyer up, so to speak. They know that a suspension is coming down, and they have some high-powered executives, or at least lawyers, moving in on their side. Jeffrey Kessler, who is a renowned lawyer, has been retained by the NFL Players Association to protect, or at least to argue in front of an arbiter, because that's how this process will work out. The NFL will suspend Deshaun Watson at some point for some unspecified amount of time. I'm saying it needs to be a year. And then the NFLPA, whether they want to or not, are going to have to defend him. It'll go before an arbitration, and the arbiter will ultimately decide what the punishment should be. Whatever suspension this arbiter upholds will be the decision that the NFL has to stick with. And maybe the NFL gets egg on their face. Maybe they get embarrassed by the arbiter saying, I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying, NFL. But if I'm the NFL, I take that loss then. Because right now you're taking a loss in the court of public opinion because you refuse to do anything about the Deshaun Watson situation as it continues to spiral and spiral and spiral. I know that he's out on the field. I know that his teammates love him. I'm not even talking about that. I don't care about what happens between the lines. I'm talking about what's happened outside of the team, including what his former team helped him potentially do, which is cover up by having NDAs and other types of things issued to some of these female masseuses. This is something that is not going to go away, and the NFL has got to get this right, even if ultimately it gets overturned on appeal. 877-337-6666. Look, I'm one of those guys. I want to give the benefit of the doubt. And for most part with this Deshaun Watson situation, I've kind of been not on his side, but understood how these massage sessions could have gotten misconstrued, or maybe it was consensual and then someone changed their mind. Again, I'm not speculating because I have no idea what happened on this part, but on either part of this. But what I do know is that the accusations keep piling and piling and piling, and the fact that the NFL is not doing anything, the fact that Deshaun Watson is practicing during these mandatory minicamps and acting like nothing is going on, it rubs me wrong. It really does. Just like when we saw that Ray Rice video a few years ago. And Ray Rice is as lovable of a guy as you could imagine. I mean, I know Ray personally. I think he's a great guy. He had a bad moment, and the league tried to massage it and push it away until the video came out. Before you know it, the league had egg on its face. At some point, something else is going to come out in this Deshaun Watson case, and the league is going to have to answer what took them so long to respond to something that, in hindsight, might have been so obvious. 877-337-6666. Taking your calls on this. We'll get to the Mets and the Yankees and everything else that's going on in sports, but this is one that's jumping out at me today. And a lot of it is because we used to think that the NFL and Roger Goodell had so much power, influence on the image, the protection of the shield. I mean, how many times have we heard that? You got to protect the shield. You got to protect the integrity of what we're all doing. And if one bad apple sours the bunch, then that's the last place you want to go. What is the NFL waiting for? What is the NFL waiting for? I don't get it. Let's get to Chris, who's out in Staten Island. What's up, Chris? Welcome to the Fan.
Hey, what's up, G?
What's happening, man?
A few things. Actually, two questions. Well,
go ahead.
Common question, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, when you're talking about Deshaun, and I don't know, maybe you know more about this, but I heard when they're going for a massage.
Yes.
It's not illegal for them to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever happened. Yes.
As long as there's no money involved.
Yes.
Now, maybe, I don't know, maybe he did offer him money, maybe he didn't. I can tell you this, there is a very, very famous baseball player, and I won't even know where he was from, but he used to be going to a club at night, when my cousin went to school, and, if he was bringing girls home, he would be signing, they would have to sign NDAs, and he would actually give them packages of memorabilia of himself after he was done.
Yeah.
You spent the night with this man. Oh my God. I mean, like every girl.
But doesn't that seem consensual, right? Isn't that consensual?
Yeah, it seems consensual, but you know what? If a girl's going to turn around and sit there and have to sign an NDA, but and then she's knowing who she is with, and this guy is more powerful than the president.
Yeah, some of these athletes in these cities are. It's a little bit of a reach, but I hear what you're saying, Chris.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, that's one. I mean, you can get to that after I get a phone with you.
Yeah.
But the other question I had for you was, I watched this movie, and it's been out for a few years now. The movie Concussion.
Yes.
Did you ever pull yourself out of a game because you were ever dazed? Or dazed or confused.
Yeah. Classic. That's a great one.
A little Led Zeppelin phone. Yeah, a little Zeppelin for that.
It's Chris. Chris, you know what? In my day, and I'll get back to on topic, and I appreciate your call. Thanks for calling, Chris. In my day, we didn't know the dangers of it. In fact, my last season, against the Cowboys, DeMarcus Lawrence, I think it was Mark. Yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence knocked me unconscious in a game. 3 plays later, I came right back into the game because you just didn't know. Like, we didn't know the dangers of it. And we thought getting dazed was just something that happened in football. You shake it off, you take some smelling salts, and you keep going. It wasn't until a couple of years later that they started to see the dangers of this repeated head trauma. And again, that has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. And Chris is not wrong. I mean, I am sure that there have been plenty of situations where guys have done whatever with whoever in their apartment or hotel room or whatever it may have been. But to repeatedly have this exact scenario play out over and over and over and over again, and the NFL not do anything about it and hide behind the fact that he just wasn't criminally prosecuted and this isn't adjudicated in a court of law, that's why they're waiting. They need to suspend him. And if it gets overturned, it gets overturned. But right now, the integrity of the league and their conduct detrimental policy is being impinged. It makes no sense to me why the league has not done this already. Let's get Drew, who's out in Wayne, New Jersey. What's up, Drew? Welcome to the Fan.
Tiki, how we doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
Not too bad. Listen, I'd be remiss not to give a shout out to the legend Joe Carini.
Carini. May he rest in peace, man. He saved my career in so many ways. He was awesome.
Absolutely. But Tiki, I got a question for you. Listen, things have changed since you left the game.
Yes.
As a former player, how do you look at Calvin Ridley getting suspended almost instantly for a year for gambling?
Yep.
And we're still waiting on an answer on Deshaun Watson.
Exactly right.
Hang up and listen.
But here's the thing, and I appreciate you. I'd bring you, but BT's not here. Here's the thing, and I appreciate your call, Drew. So Calvin Ridley, did something that the NFL has been, screaming against forever. That is gambling, because that truly undermines the integrity of the game. And as it pertains to the personal conduct policy, conduct detrimental to the integrity of and public confidence in the National Football League. If you're gambling on NFL games, how the hell can a fan sit and watch? And again, we're talking about Calvin Ridley that Drew brought up. How can a fan sit and watch and say, man, I really believe that Calvin Ridley's giving it his all, especially when the line is X or Y, right? So that one is clear cut. There is no ambiguity that that's inappropriate. But we also know that how players, especially high-profile, prominent quarterbacks, what they mean to this game. I mean, he's worth $300-something million, Deshaun Watson. And for him to have this issue clouding, like we can't go a week, we can't go a month, we can't go any series, any period of time without talking about the Deshaun Watson situation and the details and the further details that keep coming out. The league needs to suspend him, even if it's ceremonial, even if it gets overturned in arbitration. They need to do this because it makes them distance themselves from the accusations that are being leveled on Deshaun Watson and are starting, to be honest, let's be real, trickling into one of their organizations. Well, actually, two of their organizations now. The Houston Texans, we know that they gave an NDA to him. We know that they arranged for a hotel room for him to have these sessions. And now the Cleveland Browns, knowing all of this stuff, they trade for him and then pay him $230 million guaranteed. It now makes us question the Browns. It makes us question the Houston Texans. And it's certainly making us question the National Football League and why Roger Goodell, who is always tough on these things, has not been tough on Deshaun Watson. It doesn't make any sense to me. I hope in short order we get a suspension for Deshaun Watson. He can't be out on the field. He can't be out there in OTAs and mandatory mini camps talking about how he's innocent when we know that something went on. 877-337-6666. Tiki Barber here on The Fan. BT is out feeling ill today. I'll take you for the rest of the day. Talk to you.